Hello.
Welcome to the Listenercast.
It's us.
We're back.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Whitney. And this is the Listenercast.
And just by listening.
You too are a listener.
On the Listenercast.
Yup.
We're back.
We are so back right now.
I don't think we've ever been more back.
We've never been more back.
Call me a baby.
Why?
The way I got back.
Anywho, sorry, I had to adjust the levels there for a second.
I need to adjust the levels.
I think I need to adjust the levels.
1 second, princess.
I love that guy on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with him. I like when he holds a wine bottle in between his toes. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about, good. You don't need to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, today we're
doing part 4.
Part 4 of Rhythm of War. Yeah, we're so excited. We are in the home stretch, everybody.
Bang.
Bang. So yeah, let's just get into it. We'll yap a little at the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's get into part 4.
Part 4. I-7. Zeth, observing Dalinar, is approached by his heist friend, telling him he must move forward with his crusade and ideals. Soon after, a messenger gives word to Dalinar about Taravangian's request, and Zeth is surprised and angry after hearing he wants an oath stone.
Yeah.
Yes.
A stone that would be perfectly round and specified with a vein of quartz. A round stone with quartz inclusion.
Yes.
An oath stone.
An oath stone. Yeah,
why do you think Taravangian wants an oath stone?
Probably to get Zeth's attention.
Yeah. To get his attention. In theory, maybe Taravangian thinks he can control Zeth if he gets an oath stone.
Maybe.
Probably just to get his attention, though.
Probably just to get his attention. We meet Zeth's heist friend. For the first time, and without reading anything, because there is just an illustration in the book of what they look like.
Yes.
Just like humanoid rifts in the air and everything. They look pretty cool.
They do look really, really interesting.
But yeah, first time like meeting them, and I feel like it's not Zeth's first time, but I feel like it doesn't like appear to him all the time.
Yeah, because he's kind of in like a weird, like he is radiant. But he also has this thing with the sword going on.
Yeah, so like he doesn't have his own radiant blade. Like he probably could have one, but
if he said the 4th ideal, right?
If he said the second, no, the third.
Second,
he
third,
said
yeah.
Third.
4th is the plate. That's what I'm thinking of. So maybe, but he's got sword Nimi. So
what else does he need?
I don't know.
A life.
Love.
I guess.
All right. You ready to move on?
Yes.
All right. Interlude 8, Cheery Cheery.
Cheery Cheery listens to Rissyn and Vistim talk, and later talks herself.
What? I got nothing. I think it's really cool that this is from the perspective of Cheery Cheery. Yeah, I think it's cute. And also just how like aware Cheery Cheery is.
Yeah, she's very aware. And she talks and scares Rissyn, and I think that's very, very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. All right.
I-9.
The sword.
Taravangian is visited by Renarin, who tries to convince him to help them. After he leaves, it's revealed Zeth is there. Taravangian tries to get Zeth to give him his sword, or to give his sword to Dalinar, but refuses and leaves. So that is the reason why he asked for an oath stone.
Yes. So don't ask her to come up here. She has to do it on her own terms.
Well, she came up here.
Yeah, but she wants to do it on her own terms.
What, are you stupid or something?
No, she's a cat, so she just doesn't like to be told what to do.
Cats are stupid.
No. She's a smart lady. Anyways,
Okay.
my notes. Okay. There's a moment between Taravangian and Renarin when they're talking.
Uh-huh.
And Renarin says to him something has changed. Why? About you recently. Why? Like something has changed about Taravangian. Because like Renarin can see the future. Yeah. And he notices like something has changed. And Taravangian says, I do not know, Bright Lord, even though he felt sweat on his brow at the lie. You've hurt my father, Renarin said. I believe he thought up until recently that he could change you. I don't know that I've seen him as morose as when he speaks to you. I would that he had changed me, Bright Lord. I would that I could have been changed. And Renarin just says, there's a point of light flickering in the darkness of your future. I worry what it will mean if it goes out. Or just interesting thing going on there. That yeah, it's changed. His future's changed in Renarin's eyes. Mm-hmm. Which, like, we know Renarin can be wrong.
Yes.
But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ready for part 4?
Yeah. Oh, and also Taravangian tells Szeth that his father's dead.
Yes, he does. He does. Which, yeah, he does.
Yeah, because he does the whole thing like, I will not serve you. Uh-huh. And Taravangian's like, you have the sword, and like, he knows that Odium fears the type of sword that Sword Nimi is. Mm-hmm. And then he finds out, Taravangian tells Szeth, like, your father's dead. Mm-hmm. So, that's what I got.
Cool.
Okay, part 4, a knowledge. Adolin, Shallan, Navani, Venli, Eshonai, and Bridge 4.
All right.
Chapter 73, Which Master to Follow.
Venli flashback. Ulam gives Venli the rundown on the history of the listeners, and Venli decides to give to trick Gavilar into bringing the listeners to Kholinar. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happens.
Yes.
I have no notes.
Yeah, I don't either. I will say, did we get some in this last part? Some Venli flashbacks? Or is this just start? Yeah, it happened in the last part. It did. It's
been so long since we read it.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot.
Yeah, it did. I just want to reiterate, this read-through has made me kind of like hoisted Venli up really high for me.
I agree.
Really, really like her character.
Same. I appreciate her way more this time around than I have previously.
Yeah, like I told you when we first started this podcast that I was going to try and focus in on a lot more of what Yasna is doing. I failed completely because I kind of fell in love with Venli and her character in this.
Yeah.
And I love all these backgrounds. I don't have a lot of notes for like these flashback sequences.
Mm-hmm. Well, because there's not always like a whole lot that happens.
You can dig in and everything. Mm-hmm. But it makes me just like her so much more. And I guess this read through, I just really got its hooks into me.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, yeah.
I agree.
I don't have anything to say.
I don't either.
For that, but yes.
But I definitely agree. I definitely like appreciate Venli way more.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Let me fix the levels real quick.
I'm sorry. I can't tell if it's like the way I have the volume or if it's our volume. Uh-huh. I think we're fine. I think it's just me and like the way I have the volume set up. Anywho. Chapter 74. A symbol.
Venli and R'lain go see Liren with the other Radiants. Venli is surprised with R'lain how natural he is with humans. R'lain reveals that he was able to sneak away maps before the Fuse found them. Liren is upset seeing others wearing a shash glyph on their heads.
Yeah. That was actually the one thing that I marked was the people wearing the shash brand. Mm-hmm. He stops someone and says, "You there, what's that on your head?" Venli turned to find the surgeon confronting one of the water bearers. Liren pushed back the hair on the man's head and pointed. She hummed at irritation. The surgeon was generally calm, but once in a while, something set him off. She strode over to settle the situation to find that the water bearer, a short man with far too much hair on his body, had painted his forehead with some kind of ink. "What is that?" Venli asked. "Nothing, Brightness," the man said, pulling out of Liren's grip. "Just a little reminder." He moved on, but one of the other water carriers, a female this time, had a similar marking on her forehead. "It's a shash glyph, Liren said. As soon as Venli knew it was writing, her powers interpreted it. "Dangerous? Why do they think they're dangerous?" "They don't," Liren said. "They're fools." And then, yeah, he says it's the brand of Kaladin Stormblessed. It gives them hope.
Yeah! Yes!
Yes.
I forgot completely about this. I love it. I love it as an act of defiance that Kaladin has become this beacon of hope and like okay. My buddy Isaac just finished The Way of Kings.
Oh, he got through that fast.
Yes, yeah.
Good for him.
He's listening to it. He has a new job where like he's literally can like be by himself and just work all day.
Yeah.
And so he's been listening to it. And he said that Kaladin is probably his favorite character at the moment because he's just that perfect embodiment of the indomitable human spirit.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. And he's so right.
Yeah.
He's so right.
I agree.
Yes.
Amazing.
Okay. But that's, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's proof of that.
Here it is.
Yeah.
He's once again, not even from his, well, it is from his own actions, but people are inspired by Kaladin.
Yeah. I agree.
Even when he thinks that he shouldn't be inspiring or anything because he's a downer on himself. Yeah. But he's humble. He's humble. Yeah. But it just makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And then we get a really cool illustration of the peak spren at the end of this chapter as well, which is very cool. Anyways, all right.
Chapter 75.
The middle step.
Adolin notices all the dead eyes that are surrounding lasting integrity, and his guard equates it to the justice going to happen.
Ooh. There's a moment with Veil and Pattern that happens here because this is at the end of this book is where we really see. I mean, this entire book we really see Shallan is having issues as per usual,
with like formless and everything.
Yeah. Pattern hums and he says, "Do you remember when we first met on the boat with Yasna? You jumped in the water. She was so shocked. Nothing shocks Yasna. That did. I barely remember. I was so new to your realm." "That wasn't the first time we met, though," Radiant said, sitting up straighter. "Shallan had spoken oaths before, after all. She had a shard blade." "Yes. If he had been human, his posture would have been described as unnaturally still, hands clasped, seated primly. His pattern moved, expanding, contracting, rotating upon itself, like an explosion." He says, "I think we have been doing this wrong, Radiant. I once tried to help Shallan remember, and that was painful for her. Too painful, so I started to think it was good for her not to remember. And the lies were delicious. Nothing is better than a lie with so much truth." And so they're just kind of having this moment of like, Shallan needs to remember, but she can't. Like, it's too painful, which has been a common theme. But like, you see when she's like, "Oh, well," like Radiant says, like, "Well, you've met Shallan before that, moment on the boat. So like, you weren't new to the realm." And he's just like, "Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there for sure."
Yeah.
Which is peculiar because this whole time we have assumed that Pattern has been with Shallan like her whole life.
Yeah.
And we're seeing...
And it's almost like he can't remember or he's lying about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we know he can lie.
He can lie. He's not good at it.
No. But he just said, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the note that I have picked out of that chapter, though. Do you have anything?
No. As you can see, I completely forgot that even happened in this chapter. So, no, I do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's move on to chapter 76, Harmony.
Harmony. Raboniel tells Navani of the Shadow Days. Then they are able to fuse Stormlight and Voidlight into a sphere. They call this the Rhythm of War. That's the name of the book. Raboniel is surprised the two lights didn't destroy each other. Navani realizes that Gavilar was trying to learn how to create anti-void light and was trying to kill a god.
Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Yeah, so the only thing I have marked down as a note here is when they do create the Rhythm of War.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of really cool that we get to the point where they realize it's, vibrations, singing.
And harmonies and everything. Yeah, it's a very cool way in how they do it. And I really like the description of everything, how Odium's tone is like pure chaos, but there still is a structure within the chaos and everything.
Yes.
And how they blend together and become...
And you need both humans and... like Voidbringers or not Voidbringers, because the humans are Voidbringers technically. Humans and Parshendi, listeners, singers, etc., to create the Rhythm of War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Which has a lot of interesting implications as well, because humans are off-world. They came from off-world. Like, this is not their home planet. So it's interesting that there's I don't know.
Well, Navani brings it up to the sibling earlier in this book that maybe because Odium has been here so long, he is connected to the Rosharan system, and now his tone is a part of Roshar now.
Is part of the Rhythms of Roshar,
which I think this kind of confirms it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happened.
Still really interesting though.
It is. I also like that it's called the Rhythm of War.
Yes.
First off, that's just a cool name. But it's war, it's chaos and order together. Mm-hmm. I mean, just to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, anything else, Whitney?
No, I'm not going to read out the whole sequence.
Yeah.
We kind of just talked about it, so.
Hey, read it yourself.
Yeah. Pick up a book. Read.
Nerd.
Or listen to an audiobook. Like a respectable...
Listen. Use your ears for once.
Respectable...
Foreign man. That's right.
I could not think of the term Vorin. I was like, what are they? Okay. Chapter 77, The Proper Legality.
Venli flashback.
What?
Venli.
Yes? Did your autocorrect do something funky?
Yes, it did. Venli with Ulim is in the castle, is in the Kholinar castle. Ulim, autocorrect did not change it to the same thing, huh?
Interesting.
Ulim finds out that Axendweth, I kept that one though, has left the planet, and he leaves Venli's gem heart. Soon after, Venli is caught by a guard and is kept under watch. Nail comes to her and asks her how she was able to bring Ulim back. He tells her that Gavilar is going to betray the listeners and informs her of Szeth. Ulim says that this is great and a war will make her people desperate enough to find forms of power.
It'll be desperate enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I have marked is when Ulim is talking to Axendweth, and it says Axendweth says she's been discovered. She's a very specific and rare kind of specialist. The details need not concern you, but there's apparently another of her kind in the palace, an agent for someone else. They found her and turned the Human King against her. She's decided to pull out. Pull out, Venli said. I don't understand that phrasing. She's leaving, or left, perhaps days ago. Left the palace? The planet, you idiot.
The planet.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, the Parshendi in particular, because they have kind of a... I don't want to say archaic. I don't know, but
they have a small scope of the world.
Yeah, they have a very small scope of the world. And then Ulim's just she left the planet. That girl you talked to, she's not even from this same planet, and she knows how to get on and off of it.
Mm-hmm. They just realized how big the planet even is.
Yeah, and so now this Spren is yeah, you can get off of it and travel to other planets. And I just think that was probably really crazy for a Parshendi to hear.
So Axendweth was probably a ghost blood, right?
We said last time she's from Scadrial, right?
Yeah, because we assumed she was a terraceman. Yeah, or terrace woman.
Yeah, with all the rings.
Mm-hmm. So she was probably intercepted by like a Son of Honor or something, or like some, who knows, maybe another faction.
Yeah.
But
presumably ghost blood.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything kind of crazy that Nail is the one that tells them about Zeth and everything.
Yeah, right? Because then Zeth becomes wrapped up with the Skybreakers. Mm-hmm. So
because like it's really Nail's fault. Right?
Yeah, in a way.
I don't like Nail.
I don't like him
this
either.
Guy. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Next chapter. How about that?
Yeah.
Or you got something else to say?
No, I'm good.
Ooh.
All right. Chapter 78, High Judge. The High Judge.
Shallan goes to the cube and Pattern tells her that he's been using it to talk to Wit. He says that spies were listening to his conversations, and that's how they knew the information. Shallan is relieved that none of her friends are spies. Vale takes over and talks to Mraize, who is upset that Restares is not there. Adolin is in trial training. Soon learns that the High Judge is human. Vale also sees the High Judge and learns that he is Kalek and also Restares, their target.
Yeah. So she says when they see the High Judge for the first time, Vale says, "That can't be the High Judge. I specifically asked if the High Judge was human. He's not," Lucentia said. "But he might have the form of a man," Lucentia said. "But he is an eternal and immortal Spren who blesses us with his presence. That is Kalak, the Kalek Elin among your people, Herald of the Almighty. He commanded us not to tell people he was here and ordered us specifically to not speak of him to humans, so we were not allowed to answer your questions until you saw him for yourself. One of the heralds, damnation. The man Mraize had sent her to find, and she suspected the man he wanted her to kill was one of the heralds."
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Yeah, because you wonder, it's just like, okay, so they've tracked every human down in this place. They don't find him or anything. Then the one person missing is like the High Judge. It's like, oh, it's Kalek. Who would have thought? I also really like Blended.
Yes,
because it's our first other ink spren that we've got to deal with besides Ivory.
I think.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all business.
All business.
I like how she talks too.
Yeah. Where she's kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna try, but just like, if you've read the book, you know. I'm not gonna try to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
This way is how she said.
Yeah. Like Yoda, but
not.
Yeah.
Noda.
Noda. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you hit all the good points in your summary.
Got right. What can I say? Yeah. Also, Pattern is not the spy, so that's cool.
That's true, because we did think Pattern was a spy from the last part. All right.
Chapter 79.
Open Wound.
R'lain looks at some maps with Sina, who reads about a group on the Shattered Plains. They're interrupted when they find Dabbid, who tells them Kaladin is asleep and won't wake up.
Yep.
Yep.
That's I actually have no notes for that chapter.
I don't either. Nothing to really. Yeah, no.
I mean, that's kind of what happens. They're like looking at maps and they're, you know,
Oh, David spoke.
Yeah, David. Is that
Spoke
one?
To Relaine.
Yeah, because I was like, that's not the first time he's spoken. Because he spoke to Kaladin in the last part.
Yeah, because he said life before death.
Yeah, and then Bridge 4.
And then I pogged.
And then so this is the first time he talks to Relaine.
Yes. So that's a note there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 80.
The best chapter in the entire book.
It's
The Dog and the Dragon.
Chapter 80.
I love this chapter.
Are you ready for my summary?
I'm ready.
It's The Dog and the Dragon. Just read the chapter and cry with us.
Yeah. So.
I'm sorry.
You need to read this.
Yeah.
If you
Kaladin's in a nightmare. Odium and Moash are trying to break him. Then Wit comes and tells him a funny story and helps him out. There you go.
It's not a funny story.
It's a funny story.
But so the whole premise of the story is that there's a dragon and a dog, and the dog sees the dragon, and the dog's like, man, I wish I could be as cool as that dragon. And so he tries all these things to make himself cool. He like covers himself in like feathers and tries to fly and just does all this stuff to try to be a dragon. He teaches himself how to write. What are you doing to her?
He's trying to invite me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So he like teaches himself how to write and like how to communicate. And then the family that this dog is living with, like one of the kids like gets trapped in a well. And the dog is able to like write out in the sand, like lower me down.
Mm-hmm.
And so the dog gets lowered into the well and helps get the kid out. And that's like how this, and then like, you know, the dog goes back in the house and the Wit's like the end. And Kaladin's like, that can't be the end of the story. Like your stories always have like a meaning to them. And so the real ending is that, I love this part of the book so much. I really do. He says that night, oh my God, so good. That night, the little dog snuggled into a warm bed beside the fire, hugged the farmer's children, his belly full. And as he did, the dog thought to himself, I doubt any dragon ever had it so good anyway. Ooh, I'm already tearing up. He smiled and met Kaladin's eyes. It won't be like that for me, Kaladin said. You told me it would get worse. It will, Wit said. But then it will get better. And then it will get worse again. Then better. This is life, and I will not lie by saying every day will be sunshine. But there will be sunshine again, and that is a very different thing to say. That is truth. I promise you, Kaladin. You will be warm again. I'm like crying. Because it's the part where he's like, the dog in his head thinks, I doubt any dragon ever had it this good anyway. Yeah. That really makes me tear up. But then like that whole, you know, you will be warm again scene.
Yeah.
Oh man. That one really, really gets me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have tears in my eyes right now. I'm trying to blink them away. Whenever I get I think I'm going to get like 3 Stormlight tattoos, but one of them is going to be the dog and the dragon. Mm-hmm. That's like absolutely what I'm getting. Cause that story just like, man, it's a good perspective thing.
Yeah.
I doubt any dragon had it this good anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty good.
Yeah. If you haven't read that chapter, even if you're like, just read it. Just read it 10 times over and cry. And then listen to it on audiobook while you're filling out an Excel spreadsheet at work and your coworkers look at you and you're crying and they're like, what's wrong? And then you spend an hour explaining the plot of the book to them so they can understand why you're crying.
I don't know about all that, but
that's what happened to me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like this chapter. And I just felt like I couldn't do justice writing out a summary for it.
No, I mean, it really is one of those things where
you
just have to read it.
Yeah. Whoa.
I'm gonna be thinking about that the rest of the day now.
What? Yeah.
I doubt any dragon had it so good anyway.
How many times are you gonna say that?
God, it just hits, man. For me, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Chapter 81.
Trapped.
Flashback. Eshonai and Thu talk about the necessity of Gavilar's death, Venli gives her scholars void-spread gemstones and tell them they have to try and convince others to adopt these forms.
Yep.
Yep. That's about as much as I got too.
I don't have any notes.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. A lot of these chapters, stay with me now, straightforward and short. I've noticed these chapters are a lot shorter than the other parts. I feel like.
I like this little dance you're doing with your fingers on the back of the book right now.
Yeah.
Some ASMR. Hold it close to the mic, you know. Anywho, yeah, they are.
You like that, you little perverts?
Whoa, Ryan.
What?
Don't call them that. Okay.
I know what they are.
Oh, Jesus. I do listen to ASMR to fall asleep, so I can't speak. Yeah, I do. Like, it really, when I am on work trips specifically, and I work all these crazy hours, and then I'm like, man, I'm exhausted. I just worked 14 hours. I can't wait to go to bed. And then I lay down, and then I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
ASMR will knock me out in a heartbeat.
That's awesome.
Yep. So, I'm not ashamed. Okay.
As you shouldn't.
Chapter 82, Knife.
Radiant yells at Maraise. Vale then takes over, and she takes out a knife from the cube, which can be used to kill Kalek. Adolin talks to Kalek and gets a trial by witness.
Yep.
I
have a moment here marked when Vale says she's talking to Maraise. She says, I can't move against him, she said. He is set to judge Adolin in this trial. If Kalek vanished, that would throw all kinds of suspicion on us, and Adolin would most certainly be imprisoned. I can't risk it. Maraise said. If only there was a way that someone, having locked away Kalek's soul, could take his place. Wear his face. Pass judgment. Vindicating your husband and commanding the honorsmen to join the war again. If only we had sent a person capable of single-handedly turning the tide of this war through the use of a targeted illusion. What if? So yeah, there's a moment here where Vale is like, hell.
Dang it.
I'm gonna have to kill a god, a herald. But yeah, that's what is implied here.
I have something marked here about Kalek is a very different, is a very different herald than what we've seen before.
He's like the most normal, kind of.
Yes.
More normal than previous heralds have been.
He's sassy.
He's a little sassy. He's a little sassy with it.
Listen to this. Trial by witness, Kalek said. Well, that would make this mess end faster. What do you think, Sakir? I don't think that would be wise. Hold on. I don't care what you think, Kalek said. Here I am, years after joining you, and you still don't have a way for me to get off this cursed world. Fine, boy, trial by witness. We can start at, day after tomorrow? Is that acceptable for everyone? No one objected. Great. Day after tomorrow. Okay, then. Let's have it at the forum, shall we? I guess everyone will want to watch. And that has the most seats. Yep.
He's like, actually, we're doing a trial by witness.
Yeah. It'll end this, whole mess faster. Who cares?
Yeah. He's a little sassy with it.
Yeah. Kind of rude.
I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm with it. I like Kalek. Kind of like as soon as he joins, and I think because he's so different and he's trying to get off world. Yeah. Which I guess makes sense.
I mean, if I was one of the heralds and I was going through what I was going through all the time, I think I'd probably want to get off world too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. All right.
Chapter 83.
The Games of Men and Singers.
Venli practices her powers and realizes the wrongs that she's done. She goes to Leshwi and tells her the pursuer has found Kaladin's parents. Leshwi tells her that they are being protected by Raboniel now. She then goes to Elaine and crew, and she goes and they go and free Lift.
Yeah, and there's a moment. The only thing I have marked in here is when, they find out Kaladin's not waking up.
Yep.
And Liren is basically like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to be my son anymore. Like, I don't get it. And Verlaine's like, so you're gonna leave him to die? And Liren says, I didn't say that. Do not put words in my mouth. I'll go as far as I would for anyone wounded. And afterward, he demanded, you said. I said we'd see, Liren said. It's possible I'll need to bring him down here to give him long-term care. You would give him up for execution. If that is what is required, then so be it. I'll do my job as a surgeon, then let Kaladin deal with the consequences of his actions. I'm finished being a pawn in games of death for either side. And Verlaine throws up his hands and he said, what is the point of trying to save him if you're intending to get him killed? So we really see Liren feeling some big feelings here.
He's feeling some really big feelings.
Yep. That's my biggest note in that chapter was that.
Yeah, so I like Liren. I don't like his ideology.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with it, but I understand it. This is the point in the book where I'm just like, I understand why people do not like Liren.
Oh, yeah, he like sucks really bad right here.
Yeah, and God, he just gets on your nerves.
Oh yeah, like it's him literally being like, "No, I'll let my kid get executed because that's the consequences of his actions."
Yeah,
you literally would let your kid die. Mm-hmm. You would let your child die. Like I understand this is a grown man, but still, this is your kid.
Yeah,
because you're feeling a little petty.
He is. He's just being petty.
Yeah, you would let your child die because you're feeling a little. Your feelings are hurt.
Mm.
I mean, am I wrong? Like, that's what he's doing.
Yeah. I'm on my hater mode now. I kind of don't like Liren.
You a second ago. I think Liren's fine. Me after being like, he's being petty. Actually, I think I hate Liren.
I don't like him in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like him in this moment.
I wouldn't say that I hate Liren overall, but I think right here, I'm just like, dude, you need your like father card revoked.
You need your bottom beat. You need a whooping.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Liren just reminded me of somebody that I was talking to about somebody else. And I said, they act like the type of person who ran their mouth and still runs their mouth and has never got their ass beat for it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Liren. Liren feels like the guy who has never got punched in the face.
And like needs to be.
I feel like everybody in the world needs to get punched in the face at one point.
I think I don't agree with that necessarily, but I do agree that at some point every person needs to be like put
in, like when I say punch in the face, like
you need to be put out on your ass once at least.
Yeah, like you need to be.
You need to hit.
You need to be checked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree because that's how you grow.
Because people I think grow up without like learning and here's
without
the thing,
consequences. Period.
Without consequences. And here's the thing with Liren. He has been punished for his actions.
Yeah.
With Rashon and everything. We're like, because he did steal those spheres.
Yep.
And Rashon did keep coming after him and everything. But I don't think anything has happened in regards to like violence in war because he is like, he hates violence and everything.
Oh yeah, Tien died.
Yeah, well but even before then.
Yeah.
Like he still had it in his mind.
Yeah, he didn't want like Kaladin to become a spearman.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of get it. But yeah, I feel like Liren needs to be punched in the face.
I definitely think he needs a reality check for sure.
Maybe he needs to punch somebody in the face.
Do you think that would help him? I don't think that would do anything. I don't know.
Listeners, do you agree that I feel like everybody needs to, as Whitney put it, I think everybody needs to get beat up a little bit. I think everybody needs to get bullied. Just a little bit.
Everyone needs to be checked at some point in their life. That is fact.
Some bullying is okay.
No.
Yes.
I don't think it's bullying. I just think some people do need a reality check every once in a while.
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily need to be done in a mean way. But that's how you grow as a person, is when your friends tell you, hey, you're being a little whack right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized there was a tear in my slipper. All right. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, yeah. It's yeah.
All right. Chapter 84, Scholar.
Scholar. Oh. Well,
oh, Jesus, Ryan.
I'm sorry. Navani, lost in the sauce, talks to Raboniel about trying to measure Stormlight, and she says she'll get her some sand.
Lost in the sauce.
Yeah, she's lost in the sauce, like researching.
Oh, I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, I have a note because this is when Raboniel gives or places something on the desk. A small dagger, ornate with an intricately carved wooden handle and a large ruby set at the base. Navani picked it up, noting that at the center of the blade, running like a vein from tip to hilt, was a different kind of metal than the rest. Raboniel says, we use these for collecting the souls of heralds, or that was the plan. We've taken a single one so far, and there have been complications with that capture. I had hoped to harvest the two you have reportedly had here, but they left with your expeditionary force. So, obviously, that's Jezrien is the one they're talking about.
Yeah.
But also, it says we've had some complications with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which implies maybe Jezrien's, like, not totally dead. Like, we know he's...
No, Jezrien's dead. Like, they just meant to capture him. But he eventually,
but he just died?
Yeah, like, he was held in there, and then he just, like, withered away to, like, actually being dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, because I know that, like, Ash felt it.
Yes.
When he, like, died.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry.
No, I just was curious.
What do you call that?
Waving?
I don't know.
With your hand?
You would have called it, like, stimming or something.
Maybe. But yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting. And she talks about using the metal in the middle. She said, we used it for several returns to drain stormlight from radiance. It conducts investiture, drawing it from a source and pulling it inward. We used it to fill gemstones, but didn't realize until the fall of Ba-Ado Mishram that capturing Sprennan gemstones was possible. And then it was one of us, she who dreams, realized it might be possible to trap a herald soul in the same way. So.
Yeah.
But Navani also says, Shalash had told them that Jezrien had fallen. They hadn't realized how. This was better than absolute destruction, though. Could he be recovered this way? So, I don't think he's totally... Maybe his soul is in whatever knife Moash killed him with.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
I like how you're making fun of my...
Maybe it's the angle that I'm at. It looks really funky to me. Maybe it's just because it's backwards. I don't know. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just a parrot. So I just copy things. Do you have any notes, Ryan?
No.
Okay. Then let's move on to chapter 85. Dabbid.
We get some good Dabbid lore.
We do.
And Teth wakes up from Lift healing him. And then Kaladin wakes up.
Wow.
So we learn here about Dabbid's life before
Bridge 4.
Yes. We learned that he is mentally handicapped.
Yes. He's always been a little quiet, a little reserved.
And when he talks, that's when people realize, oh, he's different.
Yeah.
And that he's a little touched.
Touched?
I don't know. You ain't never heard that?
No.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
That might be a Southern term that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that one. But okay, word.
Your stomach made a really funny noise.
I know it did.
I
wonder if the mic picked that up or if that'll get noise suppressed.
I hope so. Yeah. So that's the reason why he chose to just never speak.
Especially because he had the battle shock as like an excuse.
Yeah.
To not talk. But even after, because he even says in this chapter, I think I even marked like when the battle shock like wore off.
Mm-hmm. He just still chose not to talk because like he doesn't want to make everybody like look at him differently or like.
Because it's the first time that he's felt like accepted in his life.
Yeah. And I also like the whole thing where it's like when he talks about the rope. Where when he learned that, oh, he was born with the cord around his neck, he just took a rope and he points it as like, oh, I just want to see how it felt. Because I don't remember. But then when people saw him, they're just like, oh my God, he wants to kill himself.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, wait, no, they just.
He's misunderstood.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. I like it too.
But I don't know. I just really like this chapter.
I do.
I really like Dabbid. And also now Tef's back.
Yes.
And then Kaladin's back. That's cool. What do you have to say?
I mean, I already brought up the thing that I had marked on this page was when he was talking about the battle shock. He says he had never really lost it. People clapping sounded like bowstrings. Footfalls sounded like hooves, or he'd hear singing like the Parshendi, and he was there again, dying. And he says that Kaladin had hauled him out of damnation and gave him another family. But yeah, so he's still admitting to like having the battle shock. Like he still just definitely has like PTSD.
Yeah.
But then yeah, the other thing I marked is when Liv says, "What? Wasn't I supposed to heal the stinky one too?" Stinky? Tef said, looking in his blanket. Where in damnation are my clothes? What happened to me? We were at the tavern, right? Storms my head. Yeah, that's it. I just like that she called him Stinky.
He is.
And he's like, Stinky?
Stinky?
What are you talking about? Anyways, that's it.
Chapter 86.
The Songs of Mornings.
Flashback. Venli gets some gemstones to capture Stormsbrand. Eshonai tells her their mother was found hurt and confused out on the plains. They decide to get her some help. They sing a little bit, and then Venli goes to hunt some Stormsbrand. Yep.
I actually don't have any notes in this chapter.
I don't either because there's just not. I think that there's it's a really sweet moment between Eshonai and Venli because they haven't really started butting heads. We kind of just see Venli at odds with her sister, like personally, but is not outwardly like been like, you know, angry with her and everything. So yeah. And I also just feel bad for like Jaxlum and everything that she's going through this.
She's like has like dementia, presumably, or is like going through something. Did you see they found a cure for Alzheimer's?
What?
Yeah.
When?
Like I heard about it last week, I think. Or no, I heard about it like 2 days ago. There was like they did this study, and if I'm wrong, someone in the comments, feel free to like let me know. I feel
like that would be everywhere.
So they did this study. So maybe it's not like cured, but going in that direction. They did this study and they found that it was like something in people's necks, like some sort of tension in the necks. And they did like tests on 40 people that had Alzheimer's, and 40 out of 40, once they did this like thing with their neck to like release the tension or like whatever it was. I'm sure if you Google it, it will come up. I'm not explaining this well at all. But yeah, it was like 100% of the time cured the Alzheimer's.
I'll look more into this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not dementia.
Yeah.
It is Alzheimer's.
Specifically Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Because
dementia is more, like, from what I was being told, is
Alzheimer's is a form of dementia.
Yes, but I don't know, it was something with, like, an actual physical thing in your body versus dementia, I guess, was not as physical. Like, it was more in the brain, like the actual brain deteriorating.
Yeah.
Versus with Alzheimer's, it was like an actual physical problem with the body.
Okay.
And, like, mind you, I didn't do any research. I was just told this by someone that had read something.
Okay.
I don't know. I trusted it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why someone would tell me they cured Alzheimer's if it wasn't true.
If we are spreading false information now...
I'm sorry if we're spreading false information.
Do your own research.
Yeah, I'm going to do my own research too.
Yeah, I'm going to do this after this.
But we were talking about, you said Jack Slim, and I was like, oh, they cured Alzheimer's. I don't know, like, why.
That's awesome.
That's just so, if I just spread false information, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do your own research, everybody. Don't listen to me.
Jack is going to be back in 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So that means we'll take a little break.
In 10 minutes.
Yep. Also, I need to pick up cigarettes for my grandmother. Sorry,
Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers, Grandma. Okay, well, let's go through chapter 87 then.
Chapter 87.
87. Oh, this is the part that made you cry, I think.
Yes.
Trial by witness.
Adolin is in trial and is confronted with 3 witnesses, Amuna, Blended, and Notum. Notum causes a ruckus, and the trial is ended for the day. Collect then tells him that some Spren have been considering joining the enemy. Shallan does some shenanigans and manages to get some Stormlight. This is not the part that made me cry.
This is not the part. I don't know. It said trial by witness.
It's later in the trial.
Yeah. Anywho, I know, because I listened to it and I was like, wow, I forgot how, like, impactful that scene was. Yeah, so we see here that, what's her name?
Amuna?
Blended speaks against Adolin.
Yes.
And he's like, what is this? And she says, they asked me to witness against you. So a Spren who is not an honor Spren would have a chance to weigh in on this proceeding. And he was like, you're my tutor and you volunteered to train me. And she said, I wanted you well trained so the trial could be as fair as possible.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is, but my hatred of what your kind did also is. Yeah, and it goes on the next page even further on. It says he searched the crowd but found mostly resentful expressions. Storms. Did he really think he could prove anything to them? Which of the 10 fools was he for starting all this? No, I'm not a fool, he told himself, just an optimist. How can they not see? How can they sit here and judge me when men are dying and other Spren fight? The same way he realized that High Princes had spent so long playing games with the lives of soldiers on the Shattered Plains. The same way any man could turn his back on an atrocity if he could persuade himself it wasn't his business. Men and Spren were not different. Blended had tried to tell him this, and now he saw it firsthand. I thought that was pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Being like, Spren and men are not any different. Do you have any notes?
No, you kind of hit it. Just like with the whole thing with like Blended and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, obviously she probably was already asked before she started or like tutoring Adolin.
Yeah, and like you kind of like see her point where it's just like she obviously doesn't like what the humans did and is going to still testify against Adolin and whatnot, but like you see like the fairness in her wanting him to be like not caught off guard, like in the way of like knowing how the trial is going to be proceeded.
Right. Like she at least tried to do the right thing by being like, yeah, this is what our court system looks like. This is how it's going to be approached.
So I can't really be mad at Blended.
I'm not mad at her either. I get where she's coming from, but like if I were Adolin, I'd probably be pretty mad.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's you got it.
All right. You move on to chapter 88.
Yes, a falling star.
Oh yeah, this is only like 2 pages. Go for it. Yeah, it's a shorty.
Yeah. Putting up 40 with your shorty. Flashback. Venli shows Eshonai a storm gemstone, and Eshonai goes into the storm, yells at the rider, And then she's approached by a chasm fiend, and a burst of light appears and follows her.
That's what happens.
Yep. So it's cool. Seeing the chasm fiend come out during the storm and everything.
Yeah, because I don't know. I guess I wouldn't have really thought about that otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think about chasm fiends coming out of the chasms, but like with there being a bunch of water sloshing around down there, I suppose it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And that little spren is Timber.
Yes.
Yes. Cool. So, because during like Words of Radiance, when Eshonai takes storm form, she hears like a little voice inside of her screaming and whatnot. Was that Timber? We can assume.
I mean, was Timber originally Eshonai's friend? Is that how that works? Can she like Parshendi hop?
Yes, she was. She was originally, but she was not fully bonded with Timber.
Okay.
Because here's Timber right now following her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we can assume, the screaming she heard was probably like the bond breaking, or just like.
Well, hadn't started yet.
What?
She's not bonded to Timber. It's just she's.
So then why would she hear screaming if she wasn't bonded?
Because maybe Timber's in her gemstone.
I guess. I don't know.
Gem heart.
I can't make that make sense in my brain, but maybe you're right.
Okay.
All right. Chapter 89, Voice of Light.
Voice of Light. Raboniel brings some funny sand and gives Navani this name, the Voice of Light. After not convincing her of a treaty, Raboniel leaves Navani. She then speaks to the sibling and realizes the music left patterns in the sand.
What was it called? Cymatics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Raboniel does say, I don't know exactly where the sand comes from. Off-world somewhere.
Yeah.
And
it comes from probably white sand.
Yeah. Off-world, Navani asked, looking up from the fabrial she'd been housing, as in another planet. Raboniel hummed absently. A confirmation? Navani felt she could tell what this really meant. I wanted to go for years, Raboniel said, visit the place myself. Unfortunately, I learned it wasn't possible. I'm trapped in this system, my soul bound to Braze. You call it damnation. A planet farther out in orbit around the sun. Do you hear her? Is that the cat? Okay, yeah. I was like, what in the world?
Cat's being a menace.
Oh my gosh.
What's she doing?
She's scratching on her scratch tower. Oh. Yeah. She's really going at it. To hear her speak of such things so casually amazed Navani. Other worlds, the best telescopes couldn't do more than confirm the existence of other celestial bodies. But here she was speaking to someone who had visited one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Navani's like, why are they so casually talking about another planet? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only note that I have in that chapter.
Yeah. The note that I had here was kind of at the end when Navani is talking to the sibling and just kind of the woe and like melancholy that's like expressed.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, gods can die, used can die, spren can die.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the end she's like, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, but then, she's dying because they keep finding the nodes.
Mm-hmm. At the end, she's just like, she sees like the patterns in the sand and she's like, I'm going to find the opposites to these lights.
Navani's like, I'm going to save you.
Yeah. Chapter 90.
One chance.
Second day of the trial, the audience is upset that Adolin knew about the recent Deadeye. Shallan and Adolin after the trial talk, and Shallan brings up the idea that she could imitate Kalek or break him out of prison if he's found guilty. Yep.
I actually don't have any notes for this.
Yeah, this is where he kind of like messes up and addresses the audience, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he's just like, oh, right, this is exactly what I was told not to do, is address the audience. Everything.
I mean, I get where his frustration is, though, because he's like,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. he's standing trial for all of humanity, and he's just Adolin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 91.
Worth saving. Is this? No.
No.
Oh, thank God.
Teft is proud of himself for staying sober. He's eating soup with his small group and brings Fenderana out to assure Kaladin. Kaladin's bond isn't broken. They then discuss how they're going to save the Radiants.
Yeah, there's a really sweet moment at the end. They're just eating their soup, having conversations, smiling because they're together. Smiling because he made the right decision to stay in the tower when Kaladin needed him. Smiling because he had survived so long without moss or drink and was able to wake up and see color to the world. Smiling because of how bad everything could be. Some things were still good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fenderana pokes him. He looks over and she's grinning. And he's like, fine, you're right. You've always been right. Teft was worth saving.
I really, really like this chapter because, number one, it's a Teft perspective. We rarely get those.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that we have before, it's Teft being pretty harsh on himself and very downtrodden.
Yeah.
With this one, it was brought up earlier in the book when Teft and Kaladin and R'lain were all together, and they're all kind of talking about what they've been through. And Kaladin wonders if Teft has been sober this whole time.
Yeah. And he has.
And we learn now, Teft, he says, damnation, 7 months. That was the longest he'd gone without touching the stuff since joining the army. 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, right after that, never count those years, Teft. He told himself as Dab had brought him some soup. Count the ones you've been with friends.
That's so cute.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's so real. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another really good depiction of addiction. Because there's this one content creator I really, really like on TikTok. And most of her content is based around her overcoming addiction, and she tells stories about when she was in jail and kind of how it forced her to get clean and stuff, and now she's been out for a year or two, I believe. Actually maybe been longer. I'm actually totally not sure on that, so I'm not going to say that. I don't even know this girl's name. I can't think of it. I can see her face in my head, but I couldn't tell you what her name was. But I always love everything I've seen that comes up whenever she's on my For You page, and she talks about she goes, I look at the years that I was an addict and the people I was friends with, the people that are those years of my life and the choices that I made. She was like, I can't, she literally has basically said the same thing where it's I can't count those years anymore.
Yeah.
I just look forward. I look at those years and I'm thankful that I had them because, I learned a lot of valuable lessons.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, I only look forward now. She's like, I don't look back at all. And I love that. I think that's very beautiful. So I think it's a really good, from just what I've seen people talk about addiction, because I personally myself have not really been there. But some people in my life have, and I feel I always hear that once you're on the other side of it, it's you don't ever.
Yeah, you don't want to look back.
Yeah, so I think that's really sweet. It's a good moment. Yeah.
Chapter 92.
A gift.
Venli speaks to Raboniel on why they fight. Raboniel commends Venli and gives her a map and tells her there is a group of listeners that has been spotted.
She's not the only one.
Her and R'lain are not the only one.
They're not the only ones.
They're not. Were you kind of shocked by this?
Initially?
Yes.
I honestly can't remember.
I was a little I remember I was just oh, wait, the listeners, they're around?
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing where I kind of knew, okay, Venli and R'lain are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because they're going to make it back to their people.
Yeah. Because at this point you're oh God, or Venli and R'lain, do they have to repopulate the listeners?
Yeah,
and you're just not sure, oh, they just might be the last 2 listeners ever. And now there's hope.
Yeah. And I feel that's a part of Venli's story arc is we need her to find some redemption, because the whole time she thought she destroyed her people, but in actuality, she did not destroy all of them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She has hope.
Yeah.
And redemption.
Mm-hmm.
She can fix it. She can make it better.
She can.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I really had for that.
Yeah, it's a very short little chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Again, a lot of these chapters are really short, this part.
They are.
Yeah. Chapter 93.
Strong enough.
Formless wakes up. Pattern and the other personas try and stop her, and Pattern tells her that Wit says that she deserves to be loved. Radiant tells her that she killed Ela. Veil tells her that she is actually Shalon and is strong enough. Shalon accepts Veil's memories of her past, showing her bonding and breaking said bond with another cryptic. She then goes to Collect and tells him the truth.
Yeah, so that cryptic, the Deadeye that we saw on their journey here,
that was Shalon's.
That was Shalon's original cryptic, or original Spren.
And she had bonded another Spren before Pattern.
Yeah.
Where she met in the garden and everything. And this is also kind of the death of Veil.
Yes. Like it's Veil rejoining
with Shalon and not being separate from her.
Yes.
And don't you like when she says it, just like, don't you see, Shalon? I'm your Veil.
Yeah.
Man.
I really like that part. Like Veil, it says, Veil stood with her hands clasped before her. I know it's going to hurt, Veil warned. I'm sorry for the pain, Shalon. I did what I could, but I did it for too long. I know, Shalon said, but I have no strength that you do not, Shalon. You are me. We are me. And Veil became stormlight, glowing brightly. The color faded from her, becoming pure white. Her memories integrated into Shalon's. Her skills became Shalon's. And Shalon recognized everything she had done. She remembered preparing the needle in her satchel to kill Ela. She saw her past, her growing worry, and all of its self-destructive horror. Saw herself growing into the lie that she could never belong with Adolin and the Radiants, so she began searching for another escape. But that wasn't strength. This was strength. She closed her eyes, bearing the burden of those memories, not only of what she'd done recently, but what she'd done in the garden that day. Terrible memories. Her memories. And it says, as there was nothing left for Veil to protect Shalon from feeling, she began to fade. But as she faded, one last question surfaced. Did I do well? Yes, Shalon whispered. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a very touching moment. It's very bittersweet.
Yeah.
But Veil's not gone. Veil's just a part of Shalon now. As it should be.
I mean, they all are Shalon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But at that moment is really touching. Especially like the did I do well? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
You protected her for so long. Oh, I digress.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Then she meets with Collect, and Collect is just like, oh, so you're the one who's supposed to kill me. I thought it was going to be your husband.
Yeah.
She's like, I was sent here for that reason, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, this is where she kind of is starting to like break away from the Ghost Bloods too.
Yes. And then
like she kind of realizes she's been doing the wrong thing.
Oh yeah. And then all the honor spren come in and they're just like, oh, colluding with a judge. And he's like, no such thing. He's like, well, I'm taking over the trial now.
He said, this is about me now. Thank you. But yeah. So she did almost get in trouble for colluding with the judge, but she was in fact there to be like, hey, I was going to kill you.
Yep.
But I'm deciding not to.
Yep.
So you should let my husband go. Anyways.
Chapter 94.
This is the chapter. All right. Sacrifice.
Sakir takes Collect's place as judge. He brings out Maya and tries to make a grand statement. This backfires on him as Maya yells out and tells the crowd of the ancient radiant sacrifice. This part did make me cry.
Yeah, you should talk about this.
So I really didn't mark anything down in particular that I wanted to like touch on, but the part that really gets me and got me real good this time. We chose, but it's you cannot have my sacrifice.
Yes. And he even says, like, you knew what was going to happen when the Radiants broke their oaths. Mm-hmm. They didn't murder you. You decided together. She nods vigorously. All this time, everyone assumed you were victims. We didn't accept that you were partners with the Radiants. And she just keeps going, we chose.
Oh my. And when she's like, you cannot have my sacrifice, she shouted, mine. My sacrifice. Not yours. Not theirs. Not his. Mine. My sacrifice. Dude, I'm getting a little weepy eyed.
Yeah.
Like it.
Not me. Not Hermione.
Not Hermione.
You. When you were saying that, it made me think of that. I'm sorry.
I hate you.
But no, that moment, when I was listening to that at work and like, I don't know, I guess that scene didn't have the effect on me. I'm sure it did the last couple times, but this time around for sure, I was like really, really locked into that scene and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That one definitely hit a lot heavier for me this time around. You cannot have my sacrifice.
I love it. I think it's a beautiful scene.
I agree.
I love it how at the end of it, when the truth is learned, there's no real like judgment. Everybody just leaves and it's kind of like in shock.
Because it goes against everything that they've thought.
Yes.
For the last 1,000, however many years.
Right.
Like they all were like, wow, like we've been wrong this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. And then Blended comes and says like, I still don't trust humans, but this is a good thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right.
95.
Chapter 95. What she truly was.
Venli flashback. Venli sees her sister's death and cowards in a building under the plateau.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
I mean, she admits like to herself, like this is what she is. She's a coward.
That's like the last line of the chapter.
Yeah, coward.
A coward. All right.
Chapter 96.
1,000 lies.
Relaine finds Venli crying, and she tells him of the group of listeners. She then tells him of all her past grievances, and he recoils at her. She tries to convince him to leave with her group, but he refuses and says he's going to try and help the Radiants.
Yeah, I like the moment right at the end of this chapter here, where she says, gather the others. The humans are going to attempt to rescue the Radiants here soon. The chaos should cover our escape. I want us to leave in the next day or two. The other two attuned resolve. They trusted her, more than she trusted herself. Venli doubted she would ever find redemption among the listeners who had escaped the fused. In fact, she expected accusation, condemnation. But Venli had to try to reach them, for when they'd escaped, they'd taken her mother with them. Jaxlin might be dead, but if not, her mind would still be lost to age. But she was also the last person, the only person, who might still love Venli despite it all. Which I think is really touching.
Mm-hmm. It is. All right.
Did you have a note in that chapter?
No. I mean, like, because this is the first time Relaine's like learned what Venli has done and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just like, you understand his reaction and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Chapter 97, Freedom.
Navani discovers anti-void light. They put the light into a sphere, and Navani leaves, and the gemstone blows up. It did not kill Raboniel, however, and she then uses the light and dagger to kill her own daughter, freeing her. Raboniel says that she's going to get Navani a copy of her notebook and plans to use her research to find a way to kill Spren.
The Honor Spren specifically, or the Radiant Spren.
Yeah, the Radiant Spren.
Yeah. Yeah, literally the last. Well, actually, do you have any notes in the middle of this before I go ahead and just read off the end?
Is it about her daughter and everything?
I did have that marked, but if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
Oh, this is the part that got me too.
Yeah.
That part got me. Just the whole thing. She's like, no more death, no more coming back. It got me because it's just like, oh, finally, like, yeah.
She's free.
She's free.
And that isn't death, but she's free, finally.
And no more rebirth, no more returns. Free at last, my baby. Free. And Navani pulled her hand to her chest. That pain, she knew that pain. It was how she'd felt hearing of Elikar's death at the hands of the Bridgeman traitor. Yeah. You go. So go right ahead with that's all I really had.
Yeah, and then just the most important, not the most important thing out of all of it, but something that is of importance. Raboniel saying, I will end the war. Raboniel said, that is the promise I will keep, for today we have discovered the means. Finally, a way to make certain that the Radiants can no longer fight. They function as fuse do, you see. If we kill the human, another Radiant will be born. The fight becomes eternal, both sides immortal. Today we end that. I have preserved the Radiants in the tower for a reason. Anti-Stormlight will need subjects for testing. You can't be implying. You don't mean... Today is a momentous day, Raboniel said, letting go and walking after the servants carrying Navani's equipment. Today is the day we discovered a way to destroy Radiant Spren. I will let you know the results of the test.
Oh boy.
So yeah, one of the original promises Raboniel made when her and Navani started working together was, I will find a way to end the war.
And she found it.
And she wants to kill all the Radiant Spren.
Yeah.
That's the way she plans to end the war.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's the end of part 4.
That's the end of part 4. Whitney, how do we feel about part 4?
You know, I like it. I think, well, my favorite scene in like almost all the Stormlight books is in part 4 of this book, which is the dog and the dragon.
Yeah.
That scene with Maya is so much more touching.
Yeah.
This time around for me, I'm a really, really big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the trial aspect of it way more than I think I have liked it previously for some reason.
Yeah.
I think I just was like much more invested this time around, I guess. And also like the scholarship between Navani and Raboniel is much more interesting. Like, I don't know. This book, I just find myself appreciating a lot more this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I finished this book. Hey, guess what? My rankings have changed. So
mine have as well.
Yeah.
We can talk about that next episode.
We will.
Since that's
we'll
part
talk
5.
about this next episode after we talk about finishing this book. I love this. I love this book. Part 4 was a highlight for me. I really, really like it. I like all the Venley flashbacks in it. I like that we got to learn that the listeners are back.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Navani has discovered anti-void light. We got, Dog and the Dragon, the whole thing with Wit. We get Dabbid lore. We get good Taft moments. We get just good moments for every character. And it really feels like it's building to something that's going to be happening at the end of this book and everything. Yeah.
Part 5 is always where all hell breaks loose.
Part 5 is going to be pretty cuckoo bananas.
Cuckoo bananas.
I'm very, very excited. Also, that thing with Taravangian in the background.
Yeah.
And Zath and all that.
Things are changing.
Yes, they are.
I wish we got more Renarin. I'm thinking about that now. I just wish, in general.
Yeah, we'll I'm sure get more Renarin in the future books and everything, but
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
That's all I've got too.
What have you been enjoying? I know what you've been enjoying because I've been enjoying the same thing.
We both read Jade City by Fonda Lee.
We did both just read. Oh, by the way, we're gonna yap now.
Oh yeah.
That's all we got to say for
part 4.
Rhythm of War Part 4. Thank you for joining us. If you're leaving us, do all the pleasantries. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Love all the support and everything.
We love reading your comments.
Yes, we love the comments. It brightens our day. Brightens my day, at least.
It brightens mine as well.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We're going to probably just yap for a little bit. We are doubling up on recordings once again.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump right into part 5, like right after this.
I'm so excited.
Yes, but also have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Remember, when you're with your family, talk about politics, talk about religion.
Oh.
Talk about all the deep, dark family secrets. Just bring that up randomly. Your family will love you for that, and eat some pumpkin pie and ham and turkey and some dressing. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, which I think a good chunk of our audience doesn't, haha.
What do you mean, haha?
Because we get, I don't know, we eat Thanksgiving food. I'm not a big fan of Thanksgiving as a holiday to begin with.
I'm not. It's like probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
I don't even like the food that much.
Really?
No. I mean, like, for me, I'm not really a big fan of the food that we eat. And then, like, I don't align politically with my family.
Oh.
And so it's always been a very negative holiday for me. But I am hanging out with my sister and her husband this Thanksgiving. So cool. I'm excited to see them because I haven't seen them in a while.
Nice.
So I am excited to get together with them. But that's my Thanksgiving plans. It's going to be very small. Me, my sister, my husband, and our aunts.
My husband?
Oh, her husband. Yeah. Oopsies, I didn't mean that. My husband, Jack, my partner Jack, he's going to his dad's in Alabama for Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
I will not be there.
Yeah.
I'll be hanging out with my sister. Yippee. I love my sister.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, obviously we're already in the yapping. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Jade City. That's a banger.
Yeah.
That's a book.
There was some of the, I said this to Ryan off pod, but I'm going to repeat it again. Nobody told me that there was a little bit of smut in that book.
Nobody told me that either.
It's like not an egregious amount.
It's not.
But it was like in chapter 5, like pretty early in the book.
It's early on, yeah.
And I was like, whoa. What is happening?
What are they doing?
Yeah.
Stop. No.
I'm so sad that. Look at the audio spike.
I'm sorry.
Brian's breaking your eardrums. No, but other than that, I was a really big fan of that book. And I know you've already started the second one. I only finished the first one last night. And I've just heard they get better. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited.
You're like reading it on your Kindle. I've been doing the audiobook for it.
I've been doing, once I saw it, because I went on to Audible the other day for something else, and I saw that you had bought the whole series on Audible. Uh-huh. And so I was like, now I can also listen to the audiobook. So I did finish it yesterday by I was playing Slay the Spire most of the day yesterday, and I had the audiobook on while I was playing.
I will say I don't really like...
the narrator? Or the guy doing the audiobook?
I don't think the audiobook's the greatest.
I think it's fine. I think the guy does like a decent job.
It's fine.
It gets you where you need to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it. I like when narrators go a little bit above and beyond and try and do different doesn't everybody like that? Do like very different voices for the cast. A lot of the cast sound very samey. Yeah. In my opinion, like he has a male voice, and then he has male voice B, and then he has woman voice. And that's it.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Nova's like eating her toes right now.
Yeah, she always does that.
I know, it's just really funny.
So that's my only complaint with the audiobook, but like that's not to say like it's bad or anything.
Yeah, no, I still... Like I said, you get the information. Yep. And that's what's most important. But yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I'm excited to get into the next one.
Yeah. I am already liking, I told you, the second book more than the first one. Mm-hmm. I think Jade City, like the first book, I don't really like the beginning.
Yeah, it was a little slow going at first.
Yeah, because it tries to introduce you to like all of our main characters and everything. And it, like, chapter by chapter. But you're just like, okay, so here's like 6 different people all at the same time.
It took me a while, like, as I was reading / listening to the book, like, for me to kind of get everyone straight on, like, I knew, like, okay, Lon is the pillar, Hilo is the horn, Shay becomes the weatherman, but, like, spoiler alert, and it's like, but for a while, like, and then they're like, okay, and here's Andon, and here's Ait, and here's this person, and for a while I'm just like, as you start with like any new series, you're like, okay, this person does what and who, and then you're like 200 pages in, you're like, okay, now I remember that this person does this, and so it's just one of those things.
Really like, though, how Fonda Lee doesn't talk down to her audience and over explains things.
They never really like flat out explain the magic system.
So it's literally just like Jade.
Yeah.
And there are 6 abilities that come with Jade. And it literally tells you those 6 abilities after you've already seen some.
Mm-hmm.
Never brought up again. Never explained, because, hey, just read the book and you'll get it.
Yeah, like, it's the way they use it is like very circumstantial, and you can understand the magic by the circumstances it's being used in, which I do like. But also, I am one of those people that, like, sometimes I really do want someone just to talk down to me and explain it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just like a personal preference or if that's like the autism.
I don't know. I like it. I also like the urban fantasy of it all.
Yeah, I like that they're in like a major city. Yeah, I do like that as well.
I like the mafia vibes, like, Godfather type stuff, family, all that. It's very cool. I
thought it was really interesting, like the clan dynamics, and then also like how the entire like country / city is run based on like what clan is in charge of like your district and stuff.
Yeah, like the clan is integrated into society.
Yeah,
and like the government and everything.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I was thinking about that last night as I was reading.
Yeah, book 2 becomes a lot more like geopolitical.
Oh,
which is cool.
I like that. Yeah. I want to start reading that, but I still have not gotten through Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, and I just like need to read it.
I have that on Audible too.
I know. I've been listening to it, and I have the book. It's right in that backpack right there. And I don't know. I've had not that I don't like the book. I think, I don't know. I've just had a really hard time getting through it. And I just, like, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it, but it's just like,
I need to get back to that.
It's a hard one for me to sit down and read.
I actually need to sit down and read it.
Yeah.
Just because I really, really like the setting of that. Like, not the fact that it's like just Norse, like, based, like, or Norse inspired.
Yeah.
I like how everybody in that book feels big.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Like, that is my favorite. I love just how everybody feels like a big old slab of meat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
everybody feels like huge.
And there definitely are characters as you get into it that just like are huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to just, I don't know. I think tonight I'm going to edit tomorrow, I think. But like tonight, whenever I sit down and play video games, I think I just need to like plug that back in my ears and just listen and try to read it. Cause I don't know. I was reading it on the airplane, like down to my my last work site,
Miami.
In Miami. And then when I got there, I had taken my Kindle, and I mean, like, it's so funny. I have Shadow of the Gods on my Kindle app, but I was like, I got to a place where I was like, you know what? I have like a week, 2 weeks to read Jade City. Because my goal was to read a Fonda Lee book and a Robin Hobb book before Dragonsteel, and have completed both those things now. But while I was there, I was like, well, John Gwynne is not going to be at Dragonsteel as far as I know. And I would much rather go to these panels from these women authors and have read these books, so I don't go into that panel just like completely clueless, because I'm sure that their books will come up. I'm sure they're probably going to try to stay pretty spoiler free, but I'd at least wanted to experience one book of each of their writings and then be able to go through it. But yeah, so I need to finish that John Gwynne book so I can just like be done with that.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know why I started so many series this year. I don't know why I did that alongside Stormlight.
Yeah.
Because I started that Shadow of the Gods. I think, what is that one called? Oh, I forget. But the Greenbone Saga I started. And then the Live Ship Traders, I think is what Robin Hobb's series is called. The Bloodsworn, that's John Gwynn's. That's 3 series I've started in the last couple
Robin
months.
Hobb is like it's all broken down into like trilogies, right?
Yeah, but it's like 16 books or something.
Yeah.
Which
Are you stupid or something?
What?
Are you stupid or something? 16 books? Just finish Wheel of Time.
I've only read the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know. These are much more digestible to me than Wheel of Time was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's right. Wheel of Time's bad.
No.
Wheel of Time's the worst book I've ever read.
That's not true, and you know it.
It's not. It's actually A Feast for Crows.
What is that?
It's the 4th book in the Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
I haven't read that either.
It's not the worst book I've ever read, but that book sucks. And I'll die on that hill. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me.
That's okay. Yeah, I think next year, Ryan and I already talked about this because we got lunch before we recorded today. Neither of us want to reread Stormlight for a couple of years.
I'm not touching these books for like
5 years.
2-3 years minimum.
Yeah, minimum 3 years. But like, it's going on hiatus after Wind and Truth. And I just feel like, personally for me this year, I have missed out on so many reads because we've been doing this. Which, like, mind you, I read alongside it, and Ryan does as well. And like, it still is just a lot.
Yeah.
And so when we do Mistborn next year, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier to read something alongside Mistborn. But yeah, man.
I picked up book 7 of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh God, you've been cooking through that.
Yeah, well, book 7 just came out earlier this month.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Did you finish it already?
Well, I listened to all of them on Audible, and then it was just like book 7 isn't going to come out until like January, February for like audiobook, and I was just like, no, I need this now.
You went and read it?
I haven't read all of book 7. No, I'm still pretty early on into it, like very, very early on.
Yeah.
But I mean, how that book starts, man, that's nuts. That's crazy. It's like, as the series has gone on, the more like serious it gets. Like, it's still funny, and still comedically driven and everything, but now it's more like, oh no, we care. Like, the narrative is like getting a whole lot more in depth. The characters are getting like, whoa, all right.
Yeah.
Once again, cannot recommend this series enough. Probably the best.
The first one is on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you have no excuse.
Honestly, they all might be, because I finished Jade City last night, and then it, said like, oh, do you want to get the next book? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to spend $11 on a Kindle book. Like, I'd rather just go buy a physical copy and spend a couple bucks more. But then it was like Kindle Unlimited, and I was like, oh. And then I realized the whole series is on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, word. So
you have no excuse, Whitney.
I know. So that's what, like, now I'm torn between. So I did this this video on my book talk where I was like, oh, I want to read these 10 books before the end of the year. And it's all these books that I was like so hopeful I was going to read, and like a bunch of them are standalones. But now I'm like invested into the Greenbone saga and the Farship Traders, and now I'm in the Bloodsworn trilogy, and I really want to read Dungeon Crawler Carl because I feel like that'll be a really fun, fast, easy read. And yeah, I just am like, my 10 before the end list, I think, is just like out the window. How close are you to finishing your Goodreads goal of the year?
I can tell you right now, I think I might have finished it.
I think I saw it last night when I clicked the finish Jade City thing, and I think I have like 3 or 4 more because my goal was 50 this year. And I have 2.
I have 2 more.
2 more?
Yeah.
Easy. Wind and Truth is 1. And then whenever you finish the 7th Dungeon Crawler
that by the end of the year.
You don't think so?
Dog, like, I don't know. I might, because like I'm gonna actually be like, I don't know. I feel like Wind and Truth, because I'm not going to be like a crazy person and like tear through that. I want to take my time
and like enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is my first Stormlight book that I'm reading like as it's come out.
Same. And I do want to say, and we'll probably repeat this in the next episode as well. After part 5, we are going to take the holidays off and give ourselves some time to read Wind and Truth. So
We'll be back in January.
Yeah, we're going to be back in January after that. So we're going to get a good 3-4 weeks off, and then we'll come back with Win and Truth.
I feel like I've missed a book.
Oh, on your Goodreads?
I feel like I have.
I have made the decision that for the new year, I'm switching over to Storygraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like Goodreads is just not ever updated or supported.
The UI is just so
it's pretty
horrible.
Terrible.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep my Goodreads as like a time capsule and like maybe still update it just because it's like habit. But I think in the new year, I'm going to move over to Storygraph for sure. Yeah. Do you have some books that you're anticipating for next year? Like anything that you're like, okay, I'm going to read this next year and I'm excited about it? Now that we're off Stormlight?
I'm going to get into the John Gwynne books for sure. I want to read Throne of Glass just because like I owe it to some people.
You don't owe it to anybody, but...
Yes, I do.
It's fine.
I owe it to my girlfriend.
Oh, okay. I think that series is like fine. Yeah,
no, I know a lot of people like it. I want to read at least the first one. What do I want to read? Do you know what subreddit has been like popping up for me?
What?
The extreme horror lit.
Oh, that sounds awesome. You want to read more horror next year?
Well, this horror is like
really
splatterpunk.
Oh, what does that mean?
Like they're all like usually like self-published or like by independent publishers, and they're just really just shock value and really gross.
Interesting.
Like that's the whole point of it. And there's like maybe
that Cows book.
Like the what book?
I'll talk about that to you off pod.
What are you talking about?
The Cows.
Tenders of Flesh? Or?
No, Cows. The book is called Cows.
Oh. There's like, so like that subreddit gets recommended to me and it's just like, I do like trash. I don't know if I want to read this type of trash.
Right.
Like, that's not to say if people like enjoy that book. Like I say trash endearingly.
Yeah.
I'm a huge consumer of garbage.
I personally like bad music. That's what I consume. I don't like watching bad TV or bad movies. Well, I
love bad movies and I love bad TV.
Yeah, see, those are things where I'm like, I can occasionally watch like a bad horror movie. Then I'm like, oh my god, so that's fun. But like in general, if I'm gonna be like, oh, let me consume some trash, I'm like, let me put on the worst music someone's ever written.
Yeah,
and that's what does it for me. I don't know. Trash media endearingly.
I would say yes. I want to read more horror. I'm probably not going to read any splatter punk horror though, like stuff like that, like the extreme horror lit. But I find it interesting reading about it. Yeah,
I've been looking at subreddit. That sounds interesting.
It is. If you've heard of like the book, like I guess like one of the big ones that's like everybody knows about is called The Playground.
Not familiar.
I watched the whole YouTube essay synopsis on it.
Send me the link.
I will. It sounds like a really bad and gross book.
I mean, I like when people talk about him because then I don't have to read them, but I still get like...
I feel like that's the point where I'm at. It was like, I don't think I want to read it, but like I like hearing other people talk about it. Yeah.
I get that. That's what like Lexi Newlynova always will read like bad book talk, like romance stuff.
Yes. And she has a new one out that I haven't finished.
Yeah. I love when she reads those because I'm like, I'm never going to read these in my life, but I will listen to you talk about it for an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah, because she
could talk about anything for an hour and a half, though, and I'd listen.
So true. Because she read, what was that?
She read Credence.
She read Credence?
That is disgusting.
Dog, when she did her whole... First off, if you like the book Credence, okay. I've never read the book.
I haven't either.
I had somebody give me... Watch the Lexi Newlynova video. Dog, that book sounds like garbage. That book sounds like awesome. Like, that sounds like good trash. Like a good bad book. Yeah, it's definitely a bad book. Yeah. But a lot of people don't think so. That's like wow. What was that one? Because I knew about it before, like I watched her video. There was like Den of Serpents or Den of Vipers. That's like the mafia romance one that she read. No, there was another one like this. Perfect Love? Perfect something. Oh, the books that like have the
the text on the cover, and it's always in like one color, and there's like sparkles going off of it.
Yeah, something like that.
I know people that have read that series, and they're like, it's so good. And I'm like, I listened to this girl talk about it, and I don't know.
Yeah, so I knew about that
Twisted Love.
Twisted Love.
That's
Twisted
what it
Love.
is.
I knew about Twisted Love before I watched her video, and I was just like, I've heard this series is like pretty dooky. Here's a YouTuber I like talking about it. Let's watch this. And I was like, wow, that sounds like
still sounds
pretty
bad.
dooky. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to not read bad books next year. I want to read The Will of the Many. Have you heard of that book?
Mm-mm.
It's going to be a series. It's a thick fantasy book. I think it's like probably about the size of like Priory of the Orange Tree, which I also need to read next year.
Yeah. I need to read that next year too. I own it.
I own it as well. I just haven't read it. And this guy I'm mutuals with on Book Talk.
It's Sapphic Green Knight stuff, not Green Knight.
Dragons.
It's a retelling of a Sir Arthur.
I don't know
thing.
But my mutual on Book Talk, his name is Bloodfire Jeff. He is awesome. He is like he's like, Whitney, you need to read this. Like, you will love it. And I'm like, fine. So I need to read that. But The Will of the Many is like a Roman Empire setting for a fantasy book. It's like kind of like academia based, I think. But I really want to read that. I've heard really good things about that. I want to do the Sun Eater series, which is a sci-fi series. I think I'm also probably going to try to do Red Rising next year. So I haven't done that.
I'm going to try and do the second trilogy of Red Rising next year.
And I want to get into Sally Rooney next year. I bought Intermezzo. I have Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, but like I think her popular book is like Normal People, I think is what it's called.
Okay. Yeah, I know that book.
Yeah, I want to get in it, but like Intermezzo was her book that came out this year, and I have a copy of it. I'm a little hesitant to pick it up because I didn't realize what it was about, and I just like bought it because I was like, oh, Sally Rooney, everyone loves her, and this is her new book, and apparently it's sold like really well, and people have really good reviews about it. But it's about grief and these two boys losing their dad, and I was like, wow, I've lived that.
This is like me for real.
Yeah, I was like, this book may suck for me, but like I think it'll be really good, and I do want to read it, but I'm just a little anxious about it. But I want to get through her books, and I want to read her first name is Otessa. I can't think of what the last name is, but she wrote My Year of Rest and Relaxation and a couple other just kind of like what's the word? Unstable women books.
Okay.
And I want to get into her as well. There's like a couple authors that I like really want to get into next year. And then like I want to do some sci-fi series because I really didn't do sci-fi this year at all. I want to get into Octavia Butler.
I read Dawn
by her.
Yeah.
I've heard like I think most of her books like are really popular and like people really, really like them.
Yeah, I read Dawn. I thought it was good.
I think she has better books than that one. Like I think like Kindred and Parable of the Sower are like her big ones. So I have Parable of the Sower on my shelf, and that was one I was going to try to get to by the end of the year. So I have a lot to do. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm like really excited. After being done with Stormlight, I'm like, okay, now I can like pick up Priory of the Orange Tree because that's also a huge book. Will of the Many is also a huge book, so I can read that. I can read this, like I can get back into more series. I'm excited to read more Robin Hobb next year. Like I'm excited for my year of reading once we're done with Stormlight.
I think I'm gonna read the third Red Rising trilogy. Because I promised my buddy Wyatt, shout out Wyatt. That I would get back into it because I didn't like long-time listeners of the podcast.
No, Ryan hates Red Rising. No, I'm kidding.
No, I do not like the third book. I thought the third book.
Which one is the third book?
Morningstar.
Morningstar.
I did not like that book.
I've heard Golden Sun is like the favorite.
Golden Sun is awesome. Golden Sun is a banger of a book. That's like a easy 9 or 10 out of 10.
Word.
Yeah, but I was very disappointed with Morningstar. So it kind of turned me off from reading 4 through 6, and I think 7 is coming out, or maybe came out recently. But I'm gonna get through that next year. I want to do John Gwynne. Go back to Sanderson. I want to finally read Elantris. I haven't read Elantris yet.
Oh yeah. I think I might try to do the YA series next year.
Oh, you should. I think you would like them. They're a fun time.
Yeah. I just like don't want to. I want to try to step away from Sanderson for like the first like 3, 5, 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
And then go back to it.
For sure.
Like, obviously, we're going to do what we do for the podcast.
I mean, like, yeah, he's our favorite author. Like, we're going to come back to him.
But I don't like, while we're doing Mistborn, I don't want to also be reading.
Brandon Sanderson novel.
Be reading, what is the book called?
What?
The only one I can think of is Defiant, because that's what came out last year.
Yeah.
What's the first book called? Wow. Or
I read these books.
I know you did.
I didn't even read Defiant though. That's a bad thing. Skyward
series. There we go. Yeah. So I don't want to be like reading Mistborn and then also
I should listen to Defiant. I really had a really good time because I also did the audiobook for that series.
Yeah.
I had a really good time listening to that. Actually, I have very fond memories of that because I was listening to the third one while we were in Utah.
Yeah.
Very fond memories of that series. Yeah. I want to read more thrillers and horrors.
Same.
I'm going to read Gone Girl. I have a copy of Gone Girl.
I do too. Yeah. We can buddy read Gone Girl.
Ooh, that would be fun. Because I read Sharp Objects this year.
Yeah, I have Dark Places by her as well. I picked up that and Gone Girl at a thrift store in South Carolina.
And you've read Sharp Objects?
No. It's on Libby though. I can get it on Libby.
Okay, Sharp Objects was like
really good.
Dog.
Then we can go on the Gillian Flynn cruise.
I get the hype with Gillian Flynn, y'all.
Yeah.
I get it. I cannot wait to read Gone Girl because I don't know anything about it.
I don't either. I'm excited to read just anything by her.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You think we should wrap up so we can do part 5?
Let's wrap up so we can do part 5.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, if you could be merged like a homunculus into like any object, what would you want to be merged homunculus like into? Anyway, goodbye.
Wait.
I'm just kidding.
You can't just like, okay.
I don't want to know your answer.
And then I get to be that object?
Well, no,
okay,
you're like
rude, first of all.
Well, no, you're like melded. You're like the fly.
And then I'm an object forever.
Well, no, you're not. You're like a mixture of man and object, of woman and object.
Hatsune Miku figure.
Okay, so you just want to be Miku.
I want to be a pop star.
Okay.
That's all. That's not my legitimate answer, but I'm looking at her, just right there. Okay, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you guys next week. And God, by the time that you hear next week's episode, we'll be in Utah.
We will.
So yeah, thank you for listening.
We'll be in Utah. We'll be in a big old bowl, big old desert next to a salty lake.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So thank you guys for listening. Please do subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Give us a like, a rating, all that jazz. We really do appreciate it. And it does go a long way. That's what I've got. Do you have anything, Ryan?
Nope.
Okay, great. We'll see you guys next week for part 5 of Rhythm of War. Thanks for being here. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Oh, bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye.